Hi, welcome back. Thanks for coming today. Today we're going to make a picture about, well, it's just a beautiful picture with a background and some trees and, you know, my landscapes that I love to make. And if you scored between 0 and 10 on the procrastination test, you can start right away with me. If you scored between 11 and 20, you have to wait until after we finish the fence. And if you scored between 20 and above, you just have to start after the light, after we've finished the light. So that is just kind of, it's not a punishment. It is so that you can see for yourself. This is a real internal thing. It's not anyone else's business which time you start and what's missing from your picture. But it is something for you to just look at and reflect and say, well, what else am I missing in life because I'm procrastinating? Okay, so let's get started. Alrighty. So we have, first thing we're going to do here is make our fence. So we're going to start on the bottom here, and we're going to just make just a little kind of a long rectangle kind of line in our pencil, and all the way to the bottom of the page. And I think we'll do one more, and they don't have to be perfectly shaped because it's a rickety old fence. And then we're going to draw and bring the, kind of make it a 3D effect. And I will show you how I do that using, okay, so you can go like that and like that, 2 lines up, bring it together, then go down a little bit, a line going down, and then bring that down to the bottom. And now we have a beautiful fence. Or a beautiful piece of a fence. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little hole there, a little hole there, and a little bit of wire coming out the fence. How's that? And then we're going to have our other fence right next to it, another piece of the fence. Actually, there we go. Okay, and we'll bring that like that. Bring that across, and we'll bring that over to there, and that's how it's going to connect. Okay, so that's a bigger piece of it. Okay, so we're doing that, and I think that we'll make one more here. And now we're going to put our little holes on the side of each one, just like I did here, as you could see. So put the little holes on the side of each one, and they don't have to be perfect. And we use our pen so that pencil so that if we made a mistake, it won't matter. We can always erase it, all right? And we're going to do the same thing. Just connect them to each other. And one goes out into infinity. So here we go. That is our beautiful little fence at the foreground of our picture. And those of you who couldn't make it, next time we make this picture, you're going to get higher on the score, so you'll be able to do it. Okay, now we have the next thing that we're going to make, which is going to be a light. So we're going to go straight up. It's a street light, and it's going to be it's a tall street light. Okay, and that is just a very long rectangle. Okay, then we're going to make almost like a diamond at the top, right? Diamond at the top. And so a diamond at the top with a line through the middle. And there you go. And there we have our beautiful little street light. So if you were not allowed, if you scored over 20 and you weren't allowed to make that, don't worry, there's plenty more left for you to paint. But now everybody can get started together in this picture. So now what we're going to do here is, I'm going to turn it this way, can make it easier for you to see. So, wait, hang on. There we go. So we're going to take this and go up a little tiny bit and make a little line, because we're going to have like a little walkway. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And that's a little walkway too. So there we go. We have our little walkway. And now, of course, everybody has made a walkway. So even if you have nothing on this side of your picture, that's okay. There'll be plenty on the other side for you to draw. So we're going to make a tree on this side. And again, we're going to make one line going one way. And of course, trees are not 100% straight. So just a little bit of a curved line. And there we go. Then we're going to have, we'll make some branches going over this way and some going up that way. So as you can see here, we've got branches. We're going to make another one going up this way and over here and there. How pretty, right? And so we can do that. We want this one to go out a little more. And there we go. So now we have our little tree. Okay. Now what I want to do with the tree is, I want to make the tree have, the branches are not just so thin. So around each line that you made, I want you to just put another line next to it and connect it to the end of the branch. So start at the end of the branch and then go follow the line, and like I did here, and I'll show you again using this one. Okay, let's see. So we'll start here. We're going to follow the line and follow the line, and as it gets closer to the top, we're going to get that much closer to together. We'll do the same thing here. We're going to start here, and now we've gotten to the end and we're getting closer together. And we're going to continue to do that for each of our lines and make our beautiful branches just sort of so they kind of stand out and they're sort of 3D. And just continue to do that for each of your branches. There we go. And just keep going until you've gotten all the branches covered with a little bit of thickness. And if you make a mistake and you don't like the way it looks, feel free to erase it. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a swing coming down. So you can have a line going down. So it's kind of going in the middle of our walkway. So we have a line coming from the tree, going down, from the tree, going down. And then we're going to bring, I think we're going to bring this all the way down and connect the two lines. There you go. And because it's a seat, we're going to give it a little bit of sturdiness to it. And that is our beautiful swing. We're going to attach the swing at the top a little bit, because swings, of course, they don't just hang in midair. So make sure you made like a little bit of an attachment there. And then we're going to go and we're just going to make a squiggly line going all the way down. Squiggly line, almost like little waves going all the way down. And that's signifying a rope that's hanging things. And I think that our tree should have some birds. So we're going to make two round two circles, and then we are going to make one backward C and one forward C. You see how that is? A backward C and a forward C. And then we're going to make a little, like almost a W. So we did, and I'll show you how I did it on another piece of paper. Okay, so I did a round circle, then I made a backward C and a forward C, and then kind of a, whoops, I'm drawing upside down, have mercy on me. Okay, and kind of a W. There we go. And that is how we make a little bird in a tree. Okay. And that is basically almost our picture. I'm going to just kind of bring this up a little bit more. We're going to make, of course, a little mountains in the background, because you know I have to have my mountains in the background. And a couple of evergreens, because to me, evergreens live everywhere because they're evergreen. And we'll just bring them down to here. There we go. And that is our picture. So we just made some upside down V's. And then we made our little evergreens. And how we did that, again, is just going up like this, and maybe going up like that. So they're like a kind of upside down V's, or a W upside down, or an M. And then for the trees, that's pretty much what I did to make the trees. However, I kind of do a little bit more, kind of. I do a little feathering. That's just my kind of way to do it, because that's how I kind of think things go. But that's also an acceptable way to do it too. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We get to paint. Yay! Okay, so I think with this particular drawing, I think I want to start with a sun. And I'm going to make a nice yellow. So I'm going to take my water, dip it into my yellow. I go on to my paper first, just to see the color that I like. And I'm going to make a sun right here in the area that's all open, right there. So you see where I did that? I just made a nice, round, big, gigantic sun. And I'm going to take, on top of that, I'm going to take a little orange as well. But I want it to be very light orange. I don't want it to be a dark orange, so that it sort of looks more like that one. Okay? And just going to go on just the outside of it. Just the outside a little bit. So we have the sun. There we go. We have a reddish orange sun. Now we're going to take some blue, and take your lightest blue that you have, and we're going to go around the sun also. Normally we start when doing our skies at the top, but I want to make this kind of like a little weird round sun. So, or just kind of accentuate the sun a little bit. So kind of feel free to just go around the sun like that. Okay? Alrighty. Now, we'll go back to the top of our page and just kind of put some wet on some dry. Wet paint on the dry canvas, kind of going across. There we go. some wet, and leaving some room for some white to be open, exposed. So this maybe some clouds. There we go. All right. And I've gotten a little darker as it got to the bottom, but I still use the same color. I just had less water in it because I like the idea of it getting just a little darker as we get to the bottom. There we go. And how we get things darker again is putting less water in it. Okay, so here is our beautiful sky. And I think on mine, I'm putting just a little bit of the blue inside the sun. It's an effect I sort of like. Okay, so now we're gonna go with our lightest green. With our lightest, and we'll start coloring in where the green should go, which is from the line of where we put our tree marks all the way down. And you can cover over the pencil marks, that's perfectly fine. I always like wet on the dry paper. There is a technique where you put wet on wet paper, but I just like to do it this way. This is just, I think it's just an easier way to paint, and especially since we're using our pencil technique first, I think it's just an easier way to control the paint. Because again, painting with watercolors is much different than painting with acrylics. And you do need to control your paint. I'll just coloring in. And if you were one of the non-procrastinating ones that got to do the fence, go in between each of the fence lines to color in. Don't cover up the fence. If you didn't get to draw that, then go all the way down to the bottom of your page with the green. It's perfectly fine. And there we go. And again, don't cover up the light. All right, so it should look, this is just the basic. Now, as you've probably, if this is not your first painting using the watercolors, you know on watercolor paper, it always crinkles up until you're done and it's dry, and then it's not crinkled anymore. But it does crinkle up, so don't be surprised that it's crinkling. Okay. And let's see. So now we're going to go into our browns, and I would like to use a. I'm going to go with a light brown. So let's get a light brown, and everything right now is very pastelish, very transparent, and we're just coloring in areas right now we're coloring in the mountains, and we're doing them in brown. And we're going to put some other colors into this later, but for right now, we're just putting in the base of it. And it's going to look flat, but that's okay, because we're just getting started. Okay. And we're going to also make our fence in the front is also going to be brown. So we can color our first layer of brown with a light brown. And so that you just get it covered. So see how we got that just covered. And again, we see how we got the mountains covered in. Okay. And I would like to also do the tree in the same color brown. And again, we're going to accentuate it later. So just color it in. There you go. Okay. And also, just with the light, only the light color, you can start to color in between the lines of the branches. And just color in the lines of the branches. And there we go. So now we've got our branches all colored in and our tree. All right. So I think that our road is a dirt road. So I think we're going to also make that brown. And again, we're going to differentiate all of these later as we put different colors in it. Don't be afraid to leave a little white open as we're coloring in the roadway. So as you're coloring in the roadway, I want you to just leave like a couple of spots open where there's no light, where there's some white. Okay. And that's going to account for our light later on. Okay, we're not done. That's just there. Okay. For the swing, we're going to use orange for the ropes. Oops, just a little bit of orange. We're going to go down. And now we're going to go back and get a little bit of yellow, because the orange and the yellow together kind of make a nice little gold. Just makes just that much of a difference. So that, see, as you can see it, the orange and the yellow just kind of bring out a little bit of gold. Okay. So now we're going to do our light, and we are going to leave this part of the light, the second part of the diamond underneath. I'm going to keep that white, okay, for now. And we are going to make the rest of the light a black. And as we're doing the black, you can kind of do it lightly because we're going to accent it later. You can accent it later with darker color, but you can make it nice little. There we go. And I think the seat is also black. It just looks like a black seat to me. Sometimes I make them brown, but this one I just see it black. It's a black seat. There we go. Okay, so our painting is colored in, but we have to put some depth to it, right? So the first things we're going to do is we're going to start with our trees in the background. We're going to take the medium green, and a medium green, if you don't have, in order to make a light green, you have to make use yellow and green. To make a medium green, it always comes with medium green. So at this point, you would be going over where you made the pencil mark at the top of where the mountains end and the trees begin. And you're going to just have a nice little line running across, already giving us some depth. And then, because trees basically feather out, because the pine needles always look like they're feathering out a bit, going to go and do a next layer of also kind of the same thing, just underneath it, leaving some of the original green that you put in there, that you did, leaving some of that there still. Don't cover the tree, don't cover the swing, just go around it. Put maybe another layer underneath that layer, and now you see we got some texture here, right? We got some depth. There we go. And then we go to the bottom of the page where the end of the trees meets where the grass begins. So we have now some depth there, right? Now we're going to take our darker green, and if you don't have a darker green, you can make a darker green by adding blue. And kind of go in the middle of just a couple of little spots in the middle, in between where the lines, so in between, let's see. Okay, so we're going to go in between here and here, a little bit in between here and here, and then a little bit down here a little bit. And let's get some more. And a little bit here. Oops, I picked up the wrong green. That's okay. You can fix it, right? Here we go. Now, I'll just make some there. And just in between where the bottom goes. So, there you go. So, you see we have the different colors of green now. And that actually makes for a transition between where the trees end and the grass begins, right? And now we're also putting in, again, that darker color all the way on the bottom. So it almost looks like trees. Like we're swinging on that swing towards those trees. Okay. Now we're going to take a darker brown. If you don't have a darker brown, then what you want to do is you want to take your brown. You might want to add a little bit of black to it. Or try to not have so much water in it, so it'll make it darker. But you see, now I'm going to, our light source is coming from here, from here, right? So everything on this side will be a little bit lighter. So then everything over here will be a little bit darker. So we're gonna shadow by putting in some of the branches will just be a little bit darker on that side. And everything is just a little bit darker. And then just, so you see how we have just a couple of lines there. Makes a difference, right? There you go. Okay. Now likewise, I'm going to take a little bit of orange. And I'm going to put it on the left side of the tree. And you see how that sort of has a little bit of depth to it now, because one side is a little bit more in the shadow. We're going to do the same procedure with our fence. So on the one side is a little bit more, put a little bit more of the darker brown. See what a difference that makes? Just gives it that just little extra little something. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it now. Going to get the black. Where's my black? Here's my black. Okay. And this one here, you want to try to get this as dry as you can, but as dark as you can. And you want to go on the one side of the pole and the top. You see how I did that there? On one side of the pole that's carrying the light and the top. The other side is a little bit lighter, and that's just accounting for the fact that there's no light on that side. Sun is going down, and the sun is coming from one area. So while we're on our black, and we've got the dark black there, we are going to color in our birds, because the birds are going to be all black. See how those birds sort of make a real statement there, huh? Okay. Now, we also want to fill in those mountains a little bit. So I would like to take a little bit of orange, just a teeny tiny bit, and kind of bring a little runoff. So it makes it just a little bit more believable. And now we have to do a little bit of, where's the darker brown? A little bit of the darker brown, and we're going to do the roadway. But this time we're going to do little squiggly lines. Going all the way down. So it makes it more of a path, right? A worn out path. And again, going back to the fence, we're going to get a little bit of the orange again. A teeny bit. Very pale orange though, very pale. And we're going to go to the left side of the fence where the sun would be reflecting on it. Just makes all that much difference. Just a teeny tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Okay, and for the light, I want to take a little yellow, and I just want to put a little bit of a dot inside it. There we go. The absolute tiniest bit of yellow inside. The light's about to come on. It's not completely white, not a white light. All right, now we want to make grass. So we're going to get a darker blue, and we're going to, if you didn't do, let's see, what color is that one? Actually, we'll start with a medium blue. Okay, if you didn't do the fence, then you can start by the tree and just make some lines going up and down. That will make grass. And you're going to do some lines along the edge of the walkway. And as you get closer to the beginning of the walkway, it's going to get, the lines will get bigger. So it should look kind of like that. So, and then we'll put just a couple of grass there, a little bit grass there. And going to do the same thing with the lighter color. There we go. Not too light, the medium color really. And we're going to do the same thing kind of in the middle here, just so that there's just a little grass here and there, here and there. And we can do it in the foreground. Okay, a little bit here and a little bit here. So that we've got some grass kind of coming in a lot of places. And it's just little squiggly lines, that's all. Just little squiggly lines. You see how much more realistic it is now? We've got some lines, we've got our tree, we've got our mountains, and our birds. Okay. The one thing I will say is I think that I'd like to make, I'm going to take my dark brown is not dark enough, I have to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a black brown, and I'm mixing black and brown together for my tree. So you can do it too. Very simple. Just black and brown together, and that will make this color right there. Okay? And I want to put it on this side of the tree a little bit. It's not even dark enough. There we go. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit, because I think it needs just a little bit more definition. Especially on the one side of the tree where there's no light coming. That's the way it always is. There's always one side that doesn't have as much light. You want to account for that, because that's how you a drawing can make a big difference in a drawing. See? Just by putting just a little bit of a darker there, just has that more realistic look to it. And I'm liking that. And I think I'm gonna take that same color, and I'm gonna go just on the sides of my little country road here. Just on the sides, only on the sides. There we go. Kind of, dirt pushes along the sides when we walk, and so I just want to kind of, there we go. See, I did that. I just pushed it along the side. Just makes the eye believe that it's really a country path. And I see an area where I didn't put any green, and my eye is catching it. And just going along with a little bit more green here and there. Okay, so that is our painting. Now everybody has, some people don't have the fence, and some people don't have the light fixture, but everybody has a beautiful painting no matter what. And of course, as if you have been with me more than through today, you know that I'm not done yet. You can leave it like this. This is a beautiful painting just as it is. And you can hang this up on a wall and be very proud of it. It is absolutely beautiful, exactly like that. But of course, I have to outline because that's just the way I am. Now, I normally use these little very, very exceedingly fine tip pens. But I'm going to try something a little different today. And I have, of course, it's got to be water-based. And it's also a very fine tip, but not quite as fine, but still fine. And I am going to outline today with this. It's just a little bit thicker, but I like the darkness. I actually tried it the other day on one of my paintings, and I thought it looked beautiful. So it's my style, and I figured I would give it a whirl with you guys, and maybe you want to try that yourself, and maybe not. But when you see how mine comes out, I'll bet you'll want to. And this is why we use the pencil, because just going over the lines is so much easier when you've done the pencil first. You just go around where the pencil line is, and you kind of can't go wrong. And I always say, even if you make a mistake, the other day I made a mistake on a painting, and I just, I made something out of my mistake. Lessons learned, right? So I made a little bird, and it came out beautiful. There we go, look at that. And I'm going to, just to the side of some of the black lines that I made, I'm going to also just kind of accentuate them. Okay. And I'm going to also outline my birds. Even though they're pretty dark, I'm outlining them anyway. Now, there are many different ways of doing watercolors that don't include using a marker or a pen. It's just not my style. So I'm teaching you my style. And there is no right or wrong way. It's art. So it's your way. You're creating art. And art is very personal. It's your way of expressing yourself. So even if you defer or deter a little different from the way that I'm showing you how to do something, that's okay, because that's your painting. To make it special and all yours. There you go. Now, if you notice, I kind of made a little bit of a mistake and I went outside the line, so I just made my my light fixture just a little bigger. As I say, there's always a way to account for a mistake. It's art. It's not brain surgery. If it were brain surgery, we'd be talking a little differently. That would be a bit of a problem. But this isn't. This is art. And you want it to be a pretty painting that you enjoy doing, that you look at for a time to come, and you say, I made this. I always put a little bit of lines in my wood fences to account for the fact that there's wood grain, right? So if you see what I'm saying here, I just put just a couple of little lines that I and there you go. Go. Oh. Okay. And I like to accentuate where my trees are. and where the grass begins and the trees end. And I do like to accentuate my grass just a little bit. I just think it just stands out. You don't have to go through everywhere, but just a little bit. And a little bit of in the trees. Not everywhere. Just a couple of lines here and a couple of lines there. Here a little, there a little. And everything just stands out so beautifully that way. I think actually we need a little bit on the foreground here. You know, there's a piece of me that that's thinking that I should outline the sun. I don't know. I'm deciding whether I should or not. I kind of like it exactly the way it is. But that is our painting. That is our picture. And no matter what, even if you don't have the fence, or if you don't have the light fixture, even if you just basically have like from there over, it's still a beautiful painting. But no matter what, I want you to tell yourself that every time you see this, if the fence is missing or the light fixture is missing, just say, you know what? I need to work on that procrastination thing, and use some of the tips that I gave you before about making a plan for yourself. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day. Bye.